I started my Etsy shop back in 2019 and it's January 2025 and I'm finally quitting my Etsy store and I'm gonna tell you why. There's a few reasons why, but mainly the biggest reason was it was just like a lot of work. I'm employed, I have a 9-to-5 job, so trying to run an Etsy store, do social media, and like actually create the art was just a lot of work. If you're a new artist, I'm gonna have some tips for you, so stay tuned, keep watching. But first, I am gonna share my screen and go over some of the numbers. All right, so here are my stats from all time. This is 2013, but I think that's when I just started the account. But you can see here in 2019, this is when I actually started posting my first pieces of artwork and first started selling. So from 2019 to 2025, the total amount of revenue I've made was just over $20,000. Conversion rate is 1.8. Apparently that's not good. And orders is under 500. So all in all, I don't think it's that great, especially considering the fact that Etsy is like this worldwide platform. The cool thing that you can see, like the cities that I've reached, that's a lot, you know, and that is the thing that Etsy is supposed to be like really good for, is their reach. But if you have social media, like you can have just as good of a reach. So like you don't really need Etsy, I don't think. 2019 was a pretty good start, I guess, but 2020 was definitely my best year. And we can see how much money I made. So in all of 2020, I made just over $8,000. Hello, Editing Liz here. I'm just popping in to say that yes, 2020 was my best year, but even still, that was only like $8,000 in a year, and most people make $8,000 in a month. If we look at November, the month of November in 2020, that was probably my best month. Just because, you know, people are in holiday mode, everyone is shopping, and my total revenue was just over $3,000. And if we change this to November to December, you can see the total revenue goes up a little bit. So this is what I made during the holidays on Etsy, but honestly, compared to a lot of other handmade artists on social media, this isn't great. This is what they make on a normal month outside of the holidays. So mainly the reason why I don't like Etsy is because, well, for me, it was a lot of work trying to balance my real 9-to-5 job and you know, try to do everything that Etsy requires you to do in order to be successful. So on top of that, though, the other huge reason why I really just don't like Etsy is they changed their business model a couple years ago, and I think it was like 2018 or 2019. They went from like truly a handmade business platform, so only real artists could be on Etsy. So if you made your own products and own items, you could be on Etsy. But now it's more like people can resell stuff from Amazon. So it's basically like Amazon and Temu, and it's just a platform for junk. And listen, there are a ton of artists on Etsy that do very well, but I just don't like that they changed the platform. I don't think it's fair to artists. The other reason, especially if you're a new artist and you're considering selling on Etsy, maybe consider not doing it, because when someone buys something from Etsy, they're buying something from Etsy. Like, they're going to remember Etsy, and they're far less likely to remember your name. There is a chance that they will, but like in their mind, they're like, oh yeah, I bought it from Etsy. They're not gonna say, I bought it from Liz. So, you know, that's just something to take into consideration. That was a big discussion in this artist group that I was in called the DAC down in Delaware. You know, they really supported artists having their own website, and I fully believe that every artist should have their own website, just so that people can remember the fact that they're buying from you. As I've said in previous videos, people want to buy like a part of you, and they're buying more than just your art. They want to support you. The other thing that I want to point out that I think is really important is that when you're on Etsy, you don't own your store. So right now, they have put my store on vacation mode without me like approving it. They just did it without my knowledge, without me approving it. And what that means is that I can't sell anything. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and show you. Right now, at the top of my screen, you can see it says, unfortunately, you can't sell on Etsy anymore until you confirm your seller info. Your shop has been put on pause via vacation mode since you haven't confirmed your info within 10 days of our first request. This means you can't unpause your shop or receive new orders right now. To start selling again on Etsy, you need to confirm your info. Why? I've been on Etsy since 2019. This is crazy. There are so many videos on YouTube about people just boycotting Etsy. The reason why I started with Etsy is because it was kind of like what artists did at that time. And the reach was really attractive to me. Like, I know that I could have sold to people in Australia. I know that I could have sold to people just like all around the world, you know? But the thing is that that's sort of a moot point now because of social media. You can reach those same exact people via social media, and if you have your website set up to ship to all those countries, you can just do it through your own website. So why spend the time on Etsy, especially for the fact that, you know, they take fees. The fees aren't horrible, but you know, if you're selling a lot, it really does add up. So Etsy does not make sense to me. If you're a new artist, I would not recommend starting on Etsy. And if you're an artist who's on Etsy, like, why are you still on it? You should have your own website. I use Shopify and it's really great. I started off with Squarespace and I love Squarespace. It's super easy for beginners. There's just so many other options outside of Etsy for you to be a successful artist, and just like, don't waste your time. Just don't do it. Tips for new artists who are considering using Etsy. One of the main reasons I mentioned before, the biggest reason I didn't like Etsy is because it was just a lot of work. And I know that seems ridiculous because having your own business is a lot of work, especially if you're a handmade business. But the thing about Etsy is like, they didn't make it easy. So let's say I wanted to upload a print. Well, in order to upload a print, you have to have a certain amount of pictures and a certain amount of SEO keywords and a certain amount of this and a certain amount of that. And it's a lot to learn about. So if you want to use Etsy, be very, very prepared to invest a lot of time learning how to succeed on the platform. And let me tell you, it's gonna take a lot of time. Etsy favors accounts that are active every day. So what I learned is if you post something new every day, they will favor you. So if you're gonna start out on Etsy, just upload one new piece of artwork every day. To me, that feels ridiculous. I absolutely hate that. I joined a group coaching group to learn how to be more successful on Etsy. And the advice that I was given a lot was to upload a painting, but then go into Photoshop and like change the bathing suit color. So it's a painting of like a surfer girl wearing a red bathing suit. They suggested changing the bathing suit to yellow just so that, you know, different types of people with different needs and wants could have access to a different type of artwork. I didn't want to do that. I painted the bathing suit red for a reason. Like, I don't want to make it any different color. So it's just, Etsy favors accounts that are putting in a lot of time and a lot of work on the platform. And posting a new item every day is really hard for someone who has a handmade business. Like, that's ridiculous. How am I supposed to paint a painting every day? And even like if you're a jeweler, I don't know, it's gonna take a long time to make a ring and post one ring every day. One of the biggest things I mentioned before is when you're on Etsy, you don't own your site. As I showed you before, they put a complete halt on my shop without even like, I didn't approve it. So moral of the story is you don't own your site, and there are a lot of other much better platforms to use than Etsy, in my opinion. The other big thing that I wanted to mention is I saw a video like last week about this girl who is like a full-time Etsy artist. She has a beautiful handmade business, and people were like scamming her basically. So they put in an order and then they complained about it to Etsy because they like didn't get it in time, and then Etsy approved a return, but she had already sent the order. So basically she was out like a couple $100, and she's also leaving Etsy. If I can find her video, I will put it down below because it's a great example of like Etsy just completely screwing you over. If you're a new artist and you want to start selling your stuff, what I would do is invest the time into learning how to use social media to your advantage, like Instagram, and set up your own website. My biggest advice is to start slow, don't overwhelm yourself, and only learn like one thing at a time. When you use a platform like Squarespace or Shopify, just do everything as simple as possible. Don't get into like custom designs or anything like that. Just keep it so simple. And that way you will give yourself room to like want to do better later. But if you overwhelm yourself at the beginning, like I do, then you're not gonna wanna do it. So just keep it really simple. And the way you're gonna drive traffic to your website is through social media. And honestly, the best way to do that is to just like post every day. You don't have to post on your feed every day, but you can post in stories. There's so many ways to use social media to your advantage. It's so cool. I won't get into that now because I am personally not a very good example of that. I am not a good example of this at all because I've been burnt out for like the past 3 years, and it's just everything is really hard for me right now in terms of art. So I'm taking a major step back. So when I feel the creative juice is flowing, then I go ahead and post, but that's another story for another day. That is all for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, just put them down below or find me on Instagram at LizAdiArt and just message me there. I've been on Etsy for a long time and I can't wait to leave, honestly. I'm sorry to say it because I used to really like Etsy, but it's such a joke now. So anyways, like and subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, bye.